Deshaun Watson has a disturbing pattern of conduct, the complaint contends. Each of the cases against him is strikingly similar, evidencing a habit or a custom. Watson seeks out random strangers on Instagram, as he has done more than 100 times. The lawsuit follows comments by Watson's attorney, Rusty Hardin, who said the following Friday on a Houston radio station.
I don't know how many men are out there now that have had a massage that perhaps occasionally there was a happy ending. All right? I do want to point out, if it has happened, it's not a crime.
Hardin later said he was speaking hypothetically and that Watson did not pay anyone for sex. As of last month, the NFL was still investigating these allegations against Watson. The quarterback has so far avoided criminal charges, and we remember, Stephen A., that the Browns gave him the highest amount of guaranteed money ever. What should the NFL do after this latest allegation? We've had 2 this week. We're now at 24.
Something simple and plain. Make a damn decision. That's what the NFL should do. Now, you have a situation that's going on right now. Let's make sure we understand this. The belief is, as Mad Dog Russo pointed out last week, where's there's smoke, there's fire. The strong belief is that, damn it, you did something. You've been accused by 24 different women of the same damn thing. I mean, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it ain't a mongoose. That's what I've said on numerous occasions. Now you're hearing that, you know what, they're accusing him that he's done this 100 times. So he has a proclivity.
Over 100.
Over 100 times, has a proclivity to go to masseuse and to get a massage with other things, okay? And on his side, they're lying. There's no truth to this whatsoever. Read the reports and you'll see the details about how ridiculous this is. That's what his side says. We don't know. We know that they're accusing him. We know that he's denying it. Here's what we do know. We do know that if you're the National Football League, you haven't needed criminal charges to make a decision before. You haven't even needed civil charges to make a decision before. The mere fact that this stuff is in the news is enough for the National Football League to make a decision as to whether or not they want Deshaun Watson playing this year. Remember, they once suspended Ray Rice for 2 games. Then they came back once the video came out and said, "The hell with that. Yeah. You out."
Maybe they need the video of what happened with some of these women, and then they would actually act.
Man, I feel you, but I think this is the important point to make, Molly, and somebody's got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Again, we shouldn't need the video, number one, because many, many women have said that, and you're right. The flip side to it, however, is this. Again, you're the National Football League. You can always make a decision and then come back and modify whatever decision you make.
It's conduct detrimental to the league.
You should not be standing still and continuing to, I can't emphasize this enough. It's not just about embarrassment. Molly, it is very dangerous for a professional sports league to act as if they're law enforcement, to act as if they're the judicial system. It's very dangerous because now whatever decision you make, you're implying you know stuff we don't know. And that's not to say that that's false, because obviously you have people investigating the matter and you may know stuff that we don't know. But the point is that people will want to know what you know. And that's not the job of the National Football League. The job of the National Football League is to say this. This is our league. Yeah. You impugn the integrity and the shield. We have a right to act. And our decision is based on that alone. To do anything else resembles actions of law enforcement, which they are not qualified, nor do they have a right to do. Because at the end of the day, if you are Deshaun Watson or these women, and the NFL does anything against one side or the other, you have a right to zero in on the NFL and say, who the hell do you think you are? All the NFL has to do is say, this is our league.
Let me just say one thing, because I have producer counting me down each second. Just the optics of the simple fact that there's now 24 women, and then during this time period, when this isn't settled, you decided to make him the highest paid player ever.
That's about Cleveland.
That's okay.
That's about Cleveland.
Well, it was greenlit. So it was greenlit.
I'm saying it's the NFL.
So I'm just saying, when we have like this heinous behavior, this going on, and we don't have a clear picture yet, then you go and reward somebody. And you incentivize, no, let me finish. And you incentivize their contract that even if there is punishment in the first year, they still get all their guaranteed money. So just think of that from an optics standpoint.
I don't, listen. They can't offer him anything if the NFL says no one can offer him anything. The Cleveland Browns are concerned about the other 31 teams.
Yeah.
That's what they're concerned
with. So
it's the NFL. It's the NFL's job to say, none of you get to offer him that. We're making this decision. The NFL won't do it. All of these people that are pointing the finger at the Cleveland Browns, if it wasn't them, it was going to be another team. Their attitude is, hell, at the end of the day, y'all going to be killing us because we lose at football games. Our job is to be better than the other 31 teams in the NFL. If the NFL wants to allow us to sign Deshaun Watson, then guess what? One of us is going to do it. It's the NFL's job to step in and long time ago and make whatever decision and leave it at that. They have not done that.
But Watson also might want to find a new lawyer because that lawyer just put his
headlines or the Deshaun headline. Watson will read what, Shireen?
I think it's going to be he's placed on the commissioner exempt list, Mike, until they resolve the cases and however long that's going to be. And that buys them time until the cases are resolved, or maybe he decides to pay them all off, which at this point is going to be a lot more money than it was at $100,000 for each case, and 18 of those had agreed to take $100,000. It's going to be a lot more than that now for him to settle these cases, Mike. But I do think he's going to be placed on paid leave, despite what the commissioner said in March at the owners' meetings. I think things have changed enough that that's going to be the case.
Hey, look, I agree with you. And there's some Browns fans out there who are put in the awkward spot of trying to have to defend this guy. And it's one of the reasons why I think he should have settled the cases from the moment he was traded there, so Browns fans didn't have to try to defend Deshaun Watson blindly. They say I'm trying to speak it into existence. No, it's the only way out of this mess for the NFL right now, because they don't know how many more lawsuits there are going to be. It buys them time. And to the extent that Deshaun Watson says, I want to clear my name by focusing on this legal process, focus on it. Don't play football. Right now, no trials between August 1 and March 1. Well, if you're not playing football, you got time to knock out half of these cases, maybe. No, I don't know that you can get half of them done, especially with courts having their schedule set. But give him time to resolve these cases, because I think he will resolve the cases. And secondly, they don't have to worry about the disciplinary officer when it comes to paid leave. The commissioner makes that decision completely on his own with no real appeal rights of any kind for the player. Baker Mayfield will be a what, Shireen, when training camp opens?
I still think this is headed toward Baker Mayfield being traded to the Panthers, Mike, and I think he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers on opening day this year. I think he's going to win that job despite it being so late in the process. He would be the best candidate for the job, the most experienced, the best resume of any of those guys, including Sam Darnold, if he would remain there with the Panthers. So I think he's going to end up with the Panthers, and I think he's going to be their starting quarterback on day one.
You know, I think so as well, because the Browns are not going to want to play a game with Baker Mayfield where, you know, we're going to keep your rights, we're going to squat on you, we're going to wait for some quarterback to get injured, and maybe we're going to hold you all the way through the trade deadline. He needs to go someplace where he has a chance from the start of training camp, when he's healthy, when he's cleared, when he's ready to go, to get ready and have a great season and set himself up for a big contract next year. It's not about the 18.8 this year. He's getting that one way or the other. It's about setting himself up for next year. So I agree they're going to find a way to work that out. And they don't, I think, hold out any hope of him. And I don't even know if they want him to be the guy if Deshaun Watson's not available in 2022. So it looks like, in our estimation, both will not be available to the Browns for this season unless Watson would settle his cases quickly and then serve a suspension and return at some point before the end of the year. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo will be a what, Shireen?
Well, I think his situation is different, Mike. I think he's going to be with the 49ers, and I think he's going to be with the 49ers until a major injury happens to some starting quarterback in the league. And the reason is because of that shoulder injury. I mean, the 49ers have talked openly about that. They were ready to trade him, and they had some interest in him until he goes and has that surgery on his shoulder. And until he shows he can throw the football and and be the guy that he's been the past few Niners, then I don't think anybody's going to be willing to give up what it would take to get Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think he's going to remain with the 49ers at least into training camp so they can see him throw a little bit and what he can do. And then there's a major injury, I think he's traded somewhere else. And that may be into the season too, Mike. I don't discount that. But I think they do trade him at some point. I just don't think it's going to be before training camp starts.
See, I think he will be cut not long into training camp, if he even shows up at training camp. And they won't carry him into the regular season at a $25 million salary. And his salary isn't guaranteed until week 1 rolls around. I think